All right, so let's talk about bonds versus inflation. This is a huge issue. Oh, no. Pablo is growling, so make sure you paw the like button. Come here. Oh, okay. He wants to go in Pablo's bed. All right, so what we're going to talk about here. Come here, buddy. No. Come here, buddy. Oh, yeah. Pablo wants to be on the camera. There we go. All right, there he is. There's a guy. All right, look at that guy. He just wants to be loved. Hello, don't forget to rough the like button. You look at, he's like, what are you doing, Dad? You big old crazy Wendell. Love you, dog. All right, so when he got inflation versus bonds is an issue that we really haven't had to pay much mind to lately because inflation is seemingly minimal. So a lot of people don't pay much mind to it. They should. I'm telling you right now, even minimal inflation is devastating on bonds. In fact, one of the reasons I'm so late in doing my Wellington book is simple. The facts are that it didn't work as well, if at all, the barbell or just a regular 4, 5, 6% distribution. It didn't work as well in the 66 through 82 inflationary years of the United States. The 66 to 82 times were the highest inflation we've ever had in America. We have never come anywhere near that since. We never were anywhere near that before that. In fact, the bulk of history up until the 1960s, we had mostly deflation in America. We haven't had that, though. Here we go. Good boy. And so the bonds, a lot of people have misunderstood how bonds work relative to inflation. And especially in a low interest rate environment, a low inflation environment, they think it's not that big of a deal. It's a huge deal. So let's go into this real quick. So here we got a bond paying 2%. We're going to say that is we're going to say it's a 30-year bond paying 2%. All right. And so we know for a fact what happens. Every year on $100, we get $2 of interest. Every year. Year 1, year 30, we get $2 of interest. So how much money do we get in interest? You want to take a gander? I mean, it should be pretty easy. Every year, it's a 30-year bond. Every year we get $2 of interest. So we simply take $2 of interest times 30, and we get $60 of interest. That is what we get in interest. All right? Now, the interesting thing about a bond, well, let me just keep going on inflation because you'll see what I'm talking about in just a second. All right, so here is inflation right here below. This is inflation. And so we have a 1.5% inflation. So if I take my trusty calculator and I say 1.5% inflation, 2% coupon, my inflation is 75% of the bond. So I'm only getting inflation doesn't cost me as much as my coupon, so it should be a net to me. I hope that makes sense. I'm essentially getting 25% more on a coupon as I am inflation because my coupon is 2%, my inflation is 1.5. We take 0.5, 1, 1.5, and 2. So this is 75% of that, or you can look at this as 25% more than that. I hope that makes sense. So you think, okay, inflation, so what costs $100 today, what does it cost 30 years when you factor in inflation? All right. Well, you should be pretty easy to figure this one out. If these two things were congruent, you'd say, okay, well, if we got $60 in interest there, and this is 25% more than that, this should be $45, right? Because 2% is 25% more than 1%, and 1.5%, 60 is 25% more than what? X. It'd be 45. That's what you would think, right? So let's put this, we'll put this in blue just to show you. 45, right? Well, no, you'd be wrong. And the reason for that is because this compounds. This 1.5% is compounding each and every year. So we take our trusty calculator and we said what costs 100 today costs 101.50 the next year. 101.50 times 1.5%. Oops. 101.5 times 1.015 equals 103.032. All right, 103.022 times 1.015, 104.56 times 1.015, 106.1 equals, so what's happening here is after 30 years, we can just take our trusted calculator, we say 100 is our present value, zero payment, 1.5% is our interest, 30 years, and we compute our future values, 156. 156.30, actually about $30 and $156.30. So we actually are $11 above what it should have been because we have compounding inflation. So what costs $100 is now where it costs $156. What was worth $100 after in interest is now $160. So you can see we're only $4 ahead with the bonds, even though we're 25% ahead in coupon. And again, because a coupon, the inflation is 1.1, 1.5, 1.5, 150, 1032, something like that. It's just growing each and every year, if that makes sense. More, I can't figure it off the top of my head. But anyway, it's growing more each and every year, and that's why you just take your trusted calculator, so you have to screw it up on a video like this, and people say, you're so stupid. Don't care. You can see, though, it's 2 cents more than that. That should be, if it's simple, that would be $103 next year, but it's $103.02. It should be 104, whatever that is, but it's $104.56, if that makes sense. And that's what I'm saying. The inflation is compounding. Each and every year, inflation is growing and growing and growing. Ultimately, it'll beat more than what this coupon is. In fact, I bet if we did, let's say it's a 35-year bond. Let's take a look. If we had a 35-year bond, that'd be $70 of interest if we had a 35-year bond. And let's see what inflation would be on 35 years at 1.5%. So we're going to go inflation. 100 is our present value, 0 payment. 1.5 is our interest, 35N, compute future value. Yeah, 168. So we're getting even closer. So now we're only $2 away. So in a couple more years, the inflation would have overtaken the coupon, because coupons do not compound. Coupon is just a good old-fashioned simple interest rate. That's all there is. You know what you're getting. You're not getting compounding interest. But Josh, you can reinvest into a mutual fund. I'm telling you, yeah, go ahead. Reinvest into a mutual fund. You think that has any difference? I don't care if you're going to the biggest mutual fund bonds out there, Vanguard or BlackRock. They can't reinvest in the bond because the bond is a fixed income. And it's a fixed asset. It does not change. Now, they might issue other bonds, that's fine, but this bond that you're buying here today does not reinvest. It does not compound. Now, let's keep going. Not only is that happening, this is where it gets fun. So we already showed you $100 in inflation at 1.5% is the inflation. Is going to equal $156 in 30 years. All right. Year 1, year 30. All right, and then we already showed you too with a where did I do my other over here? With a coupon of 2%, $100 is worth $160 in 30 years. Year 1 bond. But you know what else happens? You got to pay tax on that $2. It was just for simplicity, it's a $2 tax, a 25% tax. So now you're only making $1. You're not making $2. You got minus 25% tax. You're making $150. And again, it's not compounded. So you take $150 times 30, and you actually have $145 net. So after inflation, which compounds, after taxes, after your coupons, which doesn't compound, and the taxes you have to pay, inflation beats bonds by $11. Even though you have even though there's a 2% coupon, even though you only have a 1.5% inflation rate, if everything stays the same, inflation and coupons, inflation will beat bonds. It's not debatable because bonds don't compound. Hey, buddy, bonds do not compound. Inflation does, and bonds you got to pay tax on. Pablo, that's the problem. I'm telling you, that's why Wellington got smoked in the 66 through 82 time frame, because it has the bonds, and during inflation, bonds just eat it alive. And now this is just where everything's fixed. When you have a fixed income and the bonds like 6%, and then you got inflation that's adjusting each and every year, in this case high, to the point where you got 11% inflation in the latter part of the 70s, your bonds are getting crushed. But even in this case, we have a flat, low inflation of 1.5. You also have a flat, low bond at 2, but that flat low bond is not being compounded. Again, you can invest it in other things. Oh boy, this guy. You, you can invest in other things, and hopefully those other things do grow for you. There's no guarantee of that. In fact, those other things might go down in value. But that's not comparing apples to apples. When comparing bonds to inflation, you have to compare the fixed income and the fixed asset and the simple interest versus a forever changing inflation, because inflation can certainly go up against you, and you're doomed there, plus the fact that inflation compounds. Isn't that right, buddy? So I hope this helps. Hope this makes sense. Be very careful of putting your eggs in a basket of bonds, thinking that bonds are going to at least beat inflation, because they don't. I just proved it to you. They do not. What do you think about that, buddy? Pablo, what do you think? Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. Oh, Pablo says, don't forget to paw the like button. And put in the comments if you have questions, thoughts, concerns. I will talk to you.